Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. Well, the number of positive cases continue to mount in Assam. It had already touched the 100 mark last night. It has gone up to 106 as we speak. Active cases have gone up to 60. All measures in place. 12 cases in a span of 24 hours. But the silver lining is that almost all of the cases are of people who were already in quarantine facilities. We'll come to that. We'll come to that in course of our discussion. But also at the same time, despite the Prime Minister Modi announcing relief measures, announcing a massive package, perhaps the migrants, hundreds and thousands of migrants, they have not received any help till now. Well, no visible help at the center, and the respective state governments still grapple to find ways and means to help them out. Why is this happening? Can we as a nation do a bit better? That is something we'd like to discuss straight away. Besides that, we'll also take updates from all the states of the region. We'll have our correspondents giving us all the latest of the day from all the states over the phone, and also take stock of the preparations in Arunachal Pradesh, where a new quarantine center is coming up in Lekhi, where close to 600 can be put in quarantine. And to continue the discussion, I'm being joined by Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, Professor Nehu from Shillong, Ninong Ering, former Congress MP and Arunachal MLA, joins me from Arunachal Pradesh. Avinav Borbora will join me from Guwahati in a short while, and in course of a discussion, I'll also be joined by Dr. Sindrang Warjri from Shillong, Dr. Navajyoti Gogoi from Dibrugarh. If I can go to Dr. Biswas, Prasenjit Biswas first. Welcome, sir, to Bottom Line. Well, as I just mentioned, the Prime Minister has announced a massive economic package to provide stimulus to the economy. Before we come to that, one pressing issue which still remains is that hundreds of migrants continue to walk for kilometers. No visible help yet for them. It has turned into a blame game, in fact, a political blame game. Do you think both the government and the opposition have failed the migrants?
Yes, you must be recalling that the Delhi Transport Commissioner, Mrs. Renu Sharma, was sacked because she helped the migrant laborers in the first part of the lockdown to get transported from Rajasthan and Gujarat border via Delhi to Uttar Pradesh. So there was a certain kind of a confusion, as you have rightly pointed out. Now, today, just now, the news item came that the UP government accepted the 1,000 buses that Priyanka Gandhi had arranged
Yes.
for transportation of these migrants. So, why there is a tug of war in dealing with these migrants who are walking under scorched sun with their tattered feet and their totally thirsty throat. So there is a certain lack of concern, and this lack of concern is assuming the form of bureaucratic red tapeism, and this really needed a certain kind of a humane and also very committed approach towards resolving any such problem that the migrant laborers are facing. The reason is also economic. It's not just humanitarian, because we have 45 crores migrant laborers working in the western part of India and southern part of India that produces much of the industrial goods and services. And these migrant workers are moving from north or east to the west or south, and the amount of laborers who move is 45 crores, which is a huge section of our population. Therefore, if this section of population is facing trouble in coming back to home, and if proper transportation, rail or bus services are not arranged for them, that will create, of course, a human disaster. And we have seen the kinds of disasters that have happened: people dying on the railway track, people dying in road accidents, and also some people dying out of exhaustion. Are really a good number of people who just perished in the process of migrating back. Therefore, there must be a concernful, humane, and a more committed kind of a response which should really come forth. Yeah.
Also, Dr. Biswas, do you think in the very beginning, the confusion was since it's a lockdown, so nobody is allowed to move, so no one wanted to facilitate any movement, and at the same time, they also could not stop thousands of migrants from taking to the highways. So basically, in this confusion, there were people, though it was a lockdown which could not be implemented to the true letter and spirit, there were people who had to come back for obvious reasons, and they neither their movement was facilitated nor could the authorities stop them from taking to the highways.
The reason for inaction was not really being able to implement the rules of the lockdown, because rules of the lockdown were pretty clear, telling the landlord and the factory owners not to ask their workers to vacate. Much of these migrant laborers who have been walking on the streets are asked by their owners and the landlords to vacate the squatters or the factory, and they were asked not to come back after the lockdown was announced. Therefore, they were not having food, ration, and even minimum cash to survive in a difficult condition with their families. Therefore, the best alternative for them was to survive by going back to their home. So, rules of lockdown, that everyone will remain in their own place and no one will have to leave their place or no one will be displaced, was not strictly implemented. And there was a certain lack of oversight in the matters of dealing with the migrant laborers who actually run a huge section of the industrial production. So there should have been a better coordination and better thought out rules to be implemented and which are actionable in the context of the migrant laborers, which somehow didn't happen. So a lot of regret and repentance, and also a lot of a sense of being a failure remains in the first phase of the lockdown.
Absolutely. I'm also being joined by Abhinav Borbora from Guwahati. Abhinav, welcome to Bottom Line. We are also discussing the migrants' plight, Abhinav, and it's not just the mainland. We had reports coming in today that a few youths from Assam who are cycling all the way from Haryana were stopped in Punjab by the authorities there. They were forced to cycle their way hundreds of kilometers, and they have now sought the help from Assam government. Well, this has been the story of almost the entire nation, Abhinav. Could we as a nation have done much better than this at a time when we have pulled off so many evacuations from foreign shores?
Certainly, Nabrun. I did come across the story that you have referred. And at the same time, I would also like to say that this is not the only story about Assamese migrants returning home. There have been numerous stories. And in one of your previous discussion shows, I have also cited the story of a man who was forced to partially walk from all the way from Jorhat back into Assam. And although we are talking about interstate migrants, there is also the case of intrastate migration and intra-district migration of many people who were forced to walk for miles within Assam itself to reach back to their homes. I think what is distressing today is that every morning, if you look at the news, we come across stories of migrants who have been killed on the way back to their homes. At times, we find stories of migrants being run over by trains. At another time, we come across migrants who have been hit by speeding cars. Or in other times, we have been coming across news of accidents of the vehicles in which they have been traveling. The very fact that these migrants who had been forced to undertake such a journey, it indicates the complete apathy of the government, and it also highlights how the government has been completely incapable of managing the migrant situation. It right from the way in which the lockdown was abruptly imposed, to the delays in initiating relief measures, and also the very fact that the government had not been enthusiastic in providing for their conveyance back home, and went to the extent and had the audacity to charge for ticket prices from the migrants traveling by the trains, it just shows that the government has displayed a very apathetic and unresponsive and insensitive attitude towards the migrants who are the backbone of the country's economy, migrants who are very crucial to
But then
Modi's
Avinav,
Make in India campaign.
that's again true for not just the government, but maybe also the opposition. Not all the states in this country are BJP ruled. We have hardly seen initiatives from those states either. It's a political blame game of sorts that we are witnessing. Migrants have been walking from almost every state. Migrants have been at the receiving end in almost every state. So collective failure.
Look, at one level we'll have to concede that it is a collective failure, but at another level, if you see today, the very fact that an opposition party, that is the Indian National Congress, had been forced to initiate a scheme to bear the cost of the workers and arrange for their conveyance by the trains, it just shows the irresponsibility that was shown by the central government, and the way
There are
how the
two sides
central
to the
government
story.
had actually
There are two sides
disowned
to the
its
story.
workforce. Yeah, please tell me, please highlight the two sides that you're talking about.
Of course, what the government is claiming, what the railways is claiming is that they were not charging in the first place, and so the question of Congress sponsoring doesn't
No,
arise. That's what.
I
Yeah.
think that is just a rhetoric that came after the Congress initiated the scheme. But as different news channels and news reports and surveys have indicated, migrants have themselves confessed in places like Surat, in places like Mumbai, that the government was actually charging for the return fare by trains to back to their homes.
Dr. Biswas, again, the same question to you. Now, there are two things. First, the center has initiated so many evacuation plans on foreign shores. Why it could not do much or at all, as many believe, for the migrants in the country? Secondly, same question that I asked to Abhinav. Secondly, not all states are ruled by the BJP. What have the other parties been doing? They also not failed miserably at the same time. How would you react to that?
To some extent, there was lack of coordination between various political parties who are running the government. You can see when DTC buses were allowed to transport, there was a kind of a censure that came from the central government, from the Delhi government. And also when buses were arranged from Rajasthan, on the border, buses were not allowed to move beyond the borders of Rajasthan. So there were these kind of disruptions that have happened from the governmental machinery. And as the noted journalist, the political editor of Hindustan Times, Binod Sharma, said, that migrants have been turned into a political football. And he was making this comment at the second phase of lockdown. In the third phase, migrants were treated slightly better because of a lot of criticism. But at the same time, the concern and the care were really absent, because truckloads of migrant laborers traveling and then huddled together, as Rajdeep Sardesai called it, a kind of a moving coffin after the accident that has happened in Uttar Pradesh, and 27 lives were lost. There were a little lack of concern, and that lack of concern actually came from a certain kind of an elitist point of view. The political leadership were not really concerned about the plight of the migrants. At the very late level, we can see there is some concern, there is some explicit steps that are announced for alleviating their plight, but it was not coming forth spontaneously and easily from the system. Therefore, the entire system has to be blamed, not just a particular political party.
Absolutely. We'll be joined shortly over the phone by our Meghalaya Bureau Chief, Roshan Rai. Abhinav, of course, well, it's as they say, it's never too late. It's never too late. And probably the center does need, yes, an economic package, special economic package has been announced. But what I'm trying to say is that people are still walking. People are still walking on the highways. We have the Shramik trains, the special trains coming with stranded students, workers, but the migrants are still walking. Can we still not do something, say, from tomorrow? That shouldn't happen. From next week, that shouldn't happen. As a nation, is it that difficult? I am sure a country like India can pull it off.
Certainly, Nabarun, something of the sort that you have suggested should be done, and I think if the government and all the stakeholders which was involved at the state and as well as the central level were actually sensitive about the plight of the workers, such a initiative should have been taken much before. But still, like as you have said, it's never too late, and even now, while we are discussing about their plights, migrants are actually risking their lives and making this hazardous journeys back home. And I think, therefore, the stakeholders should actually brainstorm and initiate measures to put an end to the crisis and therefore save countless many more lives, which might be actually at peril as they make their way back home.
Absolutely. We are being joined from Shillong over the phone by Roshan. Roshan, the lone positive case in Meghalaya has tested negative. Well, not been declared yet, but we can say Meghalaya is COVID-free for now. Roshan?
Yeah, definitely. We spoke to Chief Minister Conrad Sangma earlier today, and he said yes, the COVID-free tag is there because the lone active case has tested negative, and also announced recovered. So yes, the tag is there of COVID-free, but the Chief Minister himself, he said that he would like to see it in a different way, so as to prepare the state more, because we have a lot of people coming in from all throughout the country, and I've seen in many of the rest of the states there are cases that are being detected. So Chief Minister Conrad Sangma said that this is a time to really prepare ourselves, and so that in case if any cases are detected, the state is well prepared to handle it. And of course, time and again, a lot of review meeting was held. Like today also, we saw Chief Minister Conrad Sangma. He had a video conferencing with all the deputy commissioners of the districts of the state, and they reviewed the entire situation, and also because the deputy commissioners have been entrusted to look at the various COVID committees that have been formed. Over 7,000 COVID committees are there, spread across various localities of the urban areas and villages, and also to ensure that our proper protocols and all of that are followed. And yes, we did ask Chief Minister Conrad Sangma, because there are a lot of apprehension regarding the fact that the state has the capacity of, talk about quarantine centers, the state has a capacity to deal with around, say, 1,000 or so. So, the government is trying to explore possibilities of the suggestions that were given by various suggestions and offers given by various churches and even community leaders to use their infrastructure. Say, for instance, in various localities, the various schools that can be used as a quarantine centers, and even the churches, they said they have many infrastructure that can be used. So the government is also looking into that and exploring into it. But nonetheless, the Chief Minister is of the opinion that as of now, home quarantine is the best way to follow it, and that is why so many various committees have been formed, and they are looking into it.
So, can we expect a decision on that any soon, Roshan, whether or not those facilities would be used? Because a lot of questions were being raised as returnees stranded come back to the state, whether or not everybody should be sent to home quarantine. So, can we expect a decision on that, or can we expect that at least some action will be seen in a couple of days? And also, has the government entrusted any team to look into that, or the Chief Minister himself personally is monitoring things and will take a call?
Yes, there's a lot of apprehensions, like I mentioned, regarding the quarantine facilities, sending those people coming from outside for home quarantine. Yes, like I mentioned earlier, suggestions have come up, and the government also has mentioned, Chief Minister himself, he said that they are looking, exploring the possibilities of it, and if there need be, probably they'll do that. When and how is something that has not been clear now yet. But yes, of course, the government has been holding a lot of review meetings on a daily basis, and yes, if something is to be done in that regard, we'll get to know soon.
All right, Roshan, thank you so much for all those updates. If I can go back to Dr. Prasenjit Biswas. Dr. Biswas, Prime Minister's economic package, the economic package, the special package that he has announced, and the finance minister has been giving the details of it for the last 4 days. How to ensure that it reaches the last person, it reaches the migrant worker, it reaches the daily wage earner, it reaches the farmers, it reaches the lower middle income groups for whom it is meant, and also, of course, the industries and others.
The point is how with the last mile people are registered and recorded. The process of registering a deserving person is something very, very important. So at the last mile, at the village level, the feedback that is now coming from various parts of India is that the governmental machinery is too slow to record one who deserves this kind of a direct transfer of cash or cash benefit. So there should be a comprehensive mechanism of recording, identifying, registering these people, which is not there on the ground. Now, from the top-down side, there is an announcement of 40,000 crore tranche for the Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Generation Program. And also there was in the first 1.7 lakh crore package, there was an announcement of around 30,000 crore to be directly transferred to the women and also to the Jan Dhan account holders. Combined together, that comes to around 70,000 crore rupees, which is supposed to be transferred to people whose income is below 3 lakh rupees per annum. So a certain segment of people are supposed to be covered, but the number would be around 45 lakhs, as I have said, if I roughly estimate it, going by the Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy's data. Therefore, for 45 crores of people, if you have a direct cash transfer mechanism for at least 3 to 6 months, this would roughly come to 70,000 crore, as center has calculated. So this calculation is correct. But in the way there are many middlemen, I have heard from Barak Valley of Silchar, which is my hometown, that in certain tea garden Narega work, the job card holders' cards are held back by the local agents. And after holding back the job card holder's card, not the entire money is transferred to their bank account. A part of the money is somehow not transferred to the beneficiary. Now, government has to have proper supervision that the entire money is transferred in the name of the beneficiary, be it in cash in their hand or in their bank account. But the entire money needs to get transferred. And for that, government has to create a network of watchdog mechanism, which can involve the large part of the administration. And it will also require honest officers to really supervise. In a state like Assam or a state like Tripura, there should be civil servants who would be directly monitoring this process of cash benefit transfer. If that kind of an official network is not created, going down to the last man, although the package looks very good and impressive, yet it may not translate into reality. It may not reach in the hands of the poor and the needy. So therefore, the mechanism of transfer is most important, and government has to work on this very meticulously.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Biswas, for your perspective. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to take a short break here. We'll be joined again by Ninong Ering on the other side. Avina Barbara, stay on. And of course, we'll take the updates from all our correspondents from the respective states in the region. Welcome back. We're watching Bottom Line. Well, hundreds and thousands of stranded students and workers are also returning to the region. All the states are gearing up for the returnees. Quarantine centers are being built. Some states are putting the returnees on compulsory facility quarantine, whereas some are sending them for home quarantine. I'm now joined again by former Arunachal MP and Arunachal MLA legislator Ninong Ering, Congress legislator. Welcome, sir, to Bottom Line. My first question to you, Mr. Ninong Ering, you have been vocal, very vocal, even as an MP and even now as an MLA. What is your assessment of Arunachal Pradesh's preparations as far as the facilities for the returnees are concerned? How do you assess the preparations of the state, sir?
Good evening. I'm thankful that you are asking that question to me. Being one of the senior leaders of Arunachal Pradesh, of being an MLA, I can only speak for my constituency. But as a whole, the preparedness that we have, I have just seen the other, the districts also. Of course, in interior areas, we don't know. But what I saw in West Kameng, East Kameng, Tawang, then Arunachal, the capital of Arunachal Pradesh, that is the Trims, then Pasigat, Teju. No, everywhere the preparedness is, in fact, this COVID, Arunachal being a green zone, it has helped us a lot because during this lockdown, we could all get all the preparedness ready. We could get a PPE, get the ventilators, we could get, the ICUs. So thankfully, we are now quite prepared. Of course, the quarantine centers also, I've heard that in other states, the preparedness was not there. But here we are already receiving the students. Some of the students from Gujarat have already arrived and some students from Bangalore. They are starting today. I just spoke to some of them. Some students from Delhi have already arrived by bus. The students throughout Assam or Manipur or Nagaland have all come back. So in that way, I think Touchwood, we still do not have even a single case of COVID-19. So this is a blessing to us. Let us hope that we stay green. Of course, now children are coming back from the red zone, orange zone. Some are even coming from Mewat. We have students coming back from Rajasthan, from Kota. So we have to take all precautions. But as far as I know, I'm in touch with most of the deputy commissioners. I'm in touch with my all friends and colleagues around the whole district, all the districts. So it seems that the preparedness is there, and all the quarantine centers are, they may be not up to the mark. It may be not very perfect, but at least the basics are already there, and already the children have already started coming and they're staying in the quarantine center.
Well, you seem satisfied with that. We'll come to you on that again. But right now, I'm joined over the phone by Assam BJP leader, Mr. Rajkumar Sharma. Good evening, Mr. Sharma. Welcome to Bottom Line. Well, we've been discussing the plight of migrant workers across the country. They've been walking for hundreds of kilometers without any help. Why do you think they have not received any help till now, Mr. Sharma?
See, Naurun, good evening to everyone. The point raised by you about the migrant laborers, I can tell you one thing. The government is trying its level best. See, the UP government has provided 800 trains. The problem, Naurun, you have to understand, there's a Congress ruling government. I'm not blaming, politicizing this, but this is the fact that like Rajasthan government, migrant labor wants to come back to Rajasthan. Basically this Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, Haryana laborers are migrating from their own place. Now Rajasthan government has given permission to only 33 trains. UP government, Shramik Special Train, 800 trains, UP government has permitted, even people are using buses also. But the number of migrant laborers are much more than the arrangement made by the government. I agree with you. There is a panicky in the mind of labor in Delhi, in Bombay, in Gujarat, all the developed states in India. There is a huge panic among them. So once the huge quantity of labor has come out, so it takes time to control everything. However, the government is trying its level best, and I hope within 2, 3, 4, 5 days the problem will be solved. But the major problem is like you see Jharkhand. Lots of labor are Jharkhandi laborers are in outside. Only the Jharkhand government has permitted for 18 train. Chhattisgarh only 19 train has been permitted. Rajasthan government 33 train only. West
What
Bengal,
about the
only
BJP
18
ruled
train has
states?
been permitted.
What about the BJP ruled states? We are not talking about the BJP ruled states.
I'm talking about UP. They have allowed 800 trains. Lot of trains, Shramik special trains are coming all over India. Even in Assam, every day the government has permitted. Today also, one train from Bangalore has started. Will be reaching Guwahati day after tomorrow. Day before yesterday, one Shramik special train has come. So the basic problem of migrant labour are in UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh. Those are migrating from Maharashtra, those are migrating from Gujarat, those are migrating from Punjab. See the interesting fact. I admit migrating from Gujarat also. But you see Maharashtra, large number of migrant labour are migrating. In Delhi, large number of labourers are migrating. So you have to understand one thing. Now blaming to Congress or blaming to BJP is separate. So this is a big problem, and you have to understand one thing. Once a huge number of population comes out together and live on one particular place and wants some way to reach our native state, it has become a difficult task, which I believe that government was not anticipating that such a large number of person will come out. Interesting fact, I'll tell you one more, Navarun, through my phone. Yesterday, one Congress leader has been arrested in Delhi also by the AAP government because they were instigating labor to go to UP. Surprisingly, Priyanka Gandhi is making a statement and providing 1,000 buses for UP labor. But then they are not thinking of Rajasthan government. Priyanka Gandhi is not thinking about Chhattisgarh. Priyanka Gandhi is not thinking about Jharkhand. But Priyanka Gandhi is focusing on only UP. I'm surprised. They are just trying to politicize. Instead of instigating laborers, they should calm down them, should convince them that wherever they are,
No, you can say,
now,
you can
should
say,
stay there.
you can point out these incidents, Mr. Rajkumar Sharma. But in the first place, how did the center fail to anticipate that such a situation can happen? And even as it happened, there was enough time. There was enough time to react. Why did it not react? I mean, there is no visible result on ground right now. That's what I'm saying.
Navarun, in the first phase of lockdown and the second phase of lockdown, there was no much panicky among the laborers. The problem started with the third lockdown. And once the third lockdown was announced, immediately the Rail Mantralaya, our Honorable Minister Piyush Goyal announced about the Shramik special train and asked all the states to give the requisition. I'm surprised why the states are not able to give the requisition. Second thing, day before yesterday, Mr. Piyush Goyal made a statement that we are ready to provide train to each district, from each district. But then requisition has to be made from the state only. Na? The central government is making all the payment. 85% payment of the railway will be paid by the central government. But the state government has to give requisition that yes, we want this number of train, but we want this much people will come from Gujarat, this much people will come from Maharashtra. This is the duty of state government to ask for the train and give the requisition to the central government. Railway minister has made a categorical announcement that we are ready to provide train from each district. That means we are prepared because normal passenger trains are not running on the track. So there is an huge number of empty bogies are with the government. So Rail Mantralaya is not worrying about providing the train. My point is the state government has to come forward and make a requisition for train and to help the migrating labor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajkumar Sharma, for your perspective on this. That was Rajkumar Sharma, Assam BJP spokesperson. Thank you so much for joining us. Avinav Borbora, this is again become a state versus center thing. People saying, okay, well, some states didn't requisition, didn't ask for these many buses or these many trains, whereas some others did. So, but on ground, there is no action.
The nature of the issue is such that at one level, for its redressal, the joint cooperation and coordination of both the center and the state governments are necessary. and in situations where there are different party governments at the center and state, I think such kind of blame game is bound to happen. Now, the BJP spokesperson has cited a number of references, and although he said that the Congress was politicizing the issue, I found it to be very paradoxical, because I think he was doing very much the same. Because throughout his address, he was only talking about how the Congress was actually muddling the issue, and how it is only because of the Congress that the migrant laborers could not reach back home. But I think a more nuanced understanding of the issue would actually have to go beyond this state versus center or Congress versus BJP binaries. I think at one level the problem lies in the fact that that the entire gamut of migrant workers, actually these workers, they should have come under the interstate migrant workmen act of 1979. Now the problem is that majority of the states have not implemented this act in letter and spirit. If this act was implemented, Nabarun, I think we can fairly be certain that this entire exodus back home would not have taken place in the first place. Because if you see, the provisions of the act would entail the responsibility of employers to provide for to provide for accommodation, to provide for medical facilities, to provide for steady non-discriminatory employment, and also to provide for journey allowances in the case that these workers are displaced. But the very fact that today the state as well as the centers face themselves in a limbo regarding the number of migrants that actually are there in a respective state, it is because that most of these enterprises, with the complicity of the respective state governments, have not even bothered to register these migrants. And at the same time, since we are talking about since we are talking about politicization, I would also have to go to the extent and remind all the viewers that at this time, when we are already accusing the government of being unresponsive of India's migrant workers, certain BJP ruled states have also gone to the extent of actually demobilizing the capacities and the power of labor by actually diluting a range of labor laws.
That of
Labor laws.
course, yeah,
Huh.
that of
So
course.
which also goes to point out how under this current regime labor is getting systematically demobilized and disempowered, and it is such a kind of an apathetic attitude which gets manifest from such kind of decisions. I think this decision of certain states to dilute labor laws and the migrant crisis that India faces has to be read and looked at in tandem, because it actually goes on to show the attitude of the government, the unresponsive and insensitive attitude of the government that it feels towards the most vulnerable working class population of the country.
All right, if I can go back to Mr. Ninong Ering, well, taking it from where you left, Mr. Ering, you seem to be quite satisfied with the preparations made by Arunachal government, but we have had reports coming in from the quarantine center at Banderdua, where many have complained of lack of facilities. Now, the government is coming up with a center, another quarantine center in Lekhi to accommodate 590 people, close to 600, and that was supposed to be complete within 10 days. That seems a bit uncertain at this moment. So do you think there has been some laxity somewhere? I mean, look at Assam, such a state with a population of over 3 crores, with a huge chunk of people coming from outside, and still the state has managed to put everyone on at least 3-day facility quarantine. So why can't Arunachal be more prepared at this point in time?
Hats off to, Hemanta Vishwa Sarma. He's doing a very good job, he's like a one-man army, working 24/7. I've seen him on the social media, I've seen him on the news. Plus, we also have our Honorable Health Minister is there. He's going around all the districts, seeing the quarantine centers. And like you said, that there were cases of, some complaints from the children in PTC Banderdua. Of course, that's after all a police barrack. So what do you expect from a police barrack? But we have to put them somewhere, and the children also must be, instead of loitering in the streets in Bangalore and in Ahmedabad or in Chandigarh, it would be better if they all come back. It is just a question of 14 days. So they'll have to sacrifice. I know cannot give them the the 5-star rating kind of thing. So children also they should also at least bear with us. The government is trying. We don't have quarantine centers like Mizoram had done. Mizoram has in fact they built on self-help basis. For all the children coming back from the other states. But here in Arunachal, we already have the facilities. We already have prepared them. Unfortunately, it may not be up to the expectations of the children, where you have high class bathroom, the toilets. But of course, say in my conscience, I am sure that in a place like VKV school, because it's already a hostel and children can be easily accommodated there. Then we have government higher secondary school, Sile, or similarly that in Mirem or in Bila. So we are already prepared. Now in Pasigat, you can see we have the tourist lodges. So we have the tourist lodge, we have the schools, we have even the hotels. Some even would like to go places to this quarantine center. So here also those facilities are there. If you can afford and pay, you have got these 5-star
But
rating
but
hotels
but
here.
but Mr.
And people can go
Herring,
and stay there. And of course, with a
Mr.
little bit of
Herring,
pay. So the government also, yeah.
I don't think anybody expects a 5-star treatment in a quarantine center. What the people have been complaining about is the basic facilities. A quarantine center is not a luxury, it's a necessity. I hope you understand.
That is what I am also trying to explain. It is not a luxury. Don't expect luxurious. See, one room, suppose it's a dormitory type of thing. So, okay, 4 or 5 children may be. But if it's a, say, small room, then of course, you'll have to share with somebody. We can't give, because situation is such, we can't give, each and every person single rooms. Then they'll have a very big problem. Suppose there's a family. We will say that a family, okay, you all have come back together and stay as a family. But, the government is trying its best. And with its limited and meager resources, what Honorable Chief Minister, I am from the Congress. I should be objecting to what the government is trying to do.
Yeah, but tonight you sound
I
more
was,
like a
I'm
BJP
saying that
MLA.
Pema Khandu is doing well, or the Honorable Health Minister is trying his best, the Home Minister is trying his best. At least they're trying. Of course, we don't have facilities like, say, like Nagaland or Assam. But we are at least trying, and our children also should bear with us. We'll try our best to give the
All right,
best.
all right. I'm being joined over the phone by our Silchar correspondent Vikram Sarkar. Vikram, 2 more tested positive from Kachar today. Give us the details of the contact tracing. Where these people, were they already in quarantine, or what is the update, Vikram?
Yes, Navroon, the 2 more positive cases that came in today in the late evening. They were just now from the sources we got the information that they were being sent to the Silchar Medical College and Hospital for the isolation. These 2 persons have the travel history. One, Zabir Hussain, 18 years old of Karimganj districts, hailing from Akbarpur, Karimganj districts. He came from UP to Guwahati, and the another one, Mambur Ul Lashkar of 20 years. He is of Kajudor area, that is under the Sonai constituency, that is also from Kachar. He came from West Bengal. So these 2 persons have a travel history from a different state coming in.
So
here
were they already in any quarantine center, or were they at home quarantine? Do you have that information, Vikram?
Yes, Navrun, what I was saying, that when they came from Guwahati, they directly came to the Silchar ISBT. The screening was done there. The people, the health department have taken their swabs. They have collected swabs, and they were sent to the quarantine centers, that is the paid quarantine centers of Kachar district.
All right.
And from there, they were, after getting the positive results, they were sent. Now they are going to the Silchar Medical College and Hospital.
So at least the good part is that they were already in quarantine center, so there is no worries as far as contact tracing is concerned, right, Vikram? Vikram, I believe you also took stock of the arrangements at Badarpur railway station. How many are expected to arrive on the 22nd of May? How many returnees are expected to arrive, Vikram?
Yes, Navroon, we all know that this is a very challenging moment, and the perfect numbers are not yet been clarified to us. But as per the sources, we came to know that on that special train, which is going to run from Delhi to Tripura, in Barak Valley, the number of the passengers is above 350. Above 350 passengers, and now you can understand how much challenging this
All right, so
situation
close
is
to 350. Close to 350.
Yeah, above 350.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And what are some of the measures taken there?
Yes, because the host district is the Karimganj district, and the district administration is taking all the precautionary measures in hand with the NF Railways. And we have shown in our news channel that the area manager also told us of that NF Railway and the district administration, the head of the district administration, the DC, had told us, also getting the cooperation from the other two districts. And not only in Barak Valley, these three districts belongs the person from this, but from also people are belonging from the Dima Hasao, as because it's nearby. So the people are coming from that district also in that very junction, which is the biggest junction in Barak Valley.
Thank you so much, Vikram. Thank you so much, Vikram, for all those updates. Avinav Borbora, number of people, lot of people are coming in. Also, what is required is that a lot of awareness. Yes, the awareness levels have gone up, but we still have reports coming in from certain parts of the region where people do feel a bit skeptic about the entire situation. People do feel threatened. There have been reports coming in. So clearly, when you put people to facility quarantine, perhaps some of those worries are taken care of. But some states are also sending people to home quarantine. So awareness is the key as far as taking back smoothly the returnees is concerned, you think?
Yes, firstly, I think the decision whether to send to a facility quarantine or a home quarantine is a medical question. But at the same time, however, the other aspect about awareness is one that needs a serious redressal, because like you have said, even with the fourth phase of lockdown, I still do not think that the citizens have actually taken the idea of social distancing very seriously, or even the idea or the need to wear masks while traveling out, and also to remain confined indoors for the better part of their time. I think therefore the government needs to proactively strive to spread awareness amongst the people, and it should also try to take up such initiatives so that the awareness campaigns get disseminated amongst the various classes of people, and is carried out in a diversity of languages and visual mediums, so that it actually educates a greater section of the people than than the number of people which these campaigns are currently reaching out to. That is how
Absolutely.
I see this.
Absolutely. Mr. Ninong Aring, the same question to you. Do you think there is enough awareness in the state, in Arunachal Pradesh, so that those who are coming from outside are not, in a way looked down upon or ostracized? Because we have had some reports coming in, especially when people are entering the borders, there is some amount of confusion, suspicion. Of course, everybody is worried. That's human nature. And there is nothing wrong or right about that. Let's accept that. But still, that is where the health authorities, the government machinery, the NGOs, the civil societies come in. Is there enough awareness in the state?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'll say unfortunately, our people here, they are very superstitious, and they're away from the towns, away from the medical centers. Like, we don't have the facilities, like I said before, we didn't have, the basics also. But now at least we are slightly prepared, and hope that children who are coming back also, they have also taken all precautions. and we are trying our best to take all precautions. But once they come back to the villages, people are slightly skeptic. They are slightly they fear them, and in fact now you'll see that the villages from village to village also. Uh, from village to village also, it is we have our own restriction. So I think that people are
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
yeah
Go ahead.
uh, yeah our people were slightly skeptic, and they were slightly that superstition, but they're very strong, at least in this issue, because even from village to village, one person is not allowed to go. Uh, so those rituals are also there. The pujas are done, and then that reservation will be there. That is children coming from outside, na? But they are our own children, so we have to accept them. And I'm requesting all our colleagues, our friends, and all that to welcome them back, because they have come from such a horrifying experience, and I'm sure our children also will bear with us. They'll understand. Saying that people are, slightly they are trying to shrugging them on the other states, and they are not coming back. 2, 3 villages are there which I personally know, who say that no, it's okay, we'll stay here in Delhi or Bangalore or Chennai. But when the issue is becoming very grave and serious, then they become homesick, and when everybody is going back, they would also like to come back. Of course, I'm requesting all our people here in Arunachal Pradesh that they should bear with the government, they should bear with the children who are coming back. And we have, because they are our own children, we'll be putting them in quarantine. And if they're clean, they said that they could be as symptomatic, but it is not like that. Everybody, all the our children are very much cautious, and until and unless there were 2 cases, because one was a medical student, so she had to deal with the COVID patients, and the other was
So,
a cancer patient.
so basically, well, there is still some need for awareness. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ninong Aring. Thank you so much, Avna Borbora. So clearly, yes, awareness is required, and the governments, the respective state governments and the center also need to look into the migrant issue with more seriousness from now on. That's a wrap of Bottom Line.